Hello, I'm at my local range today. This is a presentation I've wanted to do for quite some time. If anything you see today looks familiar, that's because it was heavily inspired by and dedicated to the late Paul Harrell. If Roy or anyone else at Paul Harrell Productions happens to be watching this video, my condolences for your loss. Paul was a huge inspiration to myself and countless others and will be deeply missed. The presentation you're watching today is not intended to represent Paul Harrell Productions content, nor is it endorsed in any way by them. Nothing presented today should be inferred as a recommendation, tutorial, or advice in any way. All that having been said, let's get started. I have in front of me several different standard pressure 38 special cartridges of varying styles, grains, and manufacturers. I'm going to chronograph these cartridges and compare the results to advertised velocities. I'm also going to pattern these rounds on paper from 7 yards. Finally, I'm going to attempt to capture these projectiles in water to check for expansion, if any. From your left to right, I have Buffalo Bore 158 grain soft cast lead semi-wad cutter hollow point, Hornady American Gunner 125 grain XTP hollow point, Federal Hydra-Shock 38 Special 110 grain jacketed hollow point, Remington High Terminal Performance 110 grain semi-jacketed hollow point, some remanufactured Freedom Munitions 158 grain Hornady XTP projectile, and Winchester Kinetic High Energy 110 grain jacketed hollow point. The test firearm I will be using today is a Smith & Wesson 442 no dash with a satin nickel finish. This firearm predates the Plus P frames and is rated only for standard pressure 38 special ammunition. Without further ado, I'll set up the chronograph and begin testing. Not too bad, but man, that stuff is dirty. That one was less than impressive. I was aiming at that circle. Only one shot hit that circle. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, not a terrible group, except for the fact that I was aiming at that circle. These ones are also hitting low. So I was aiming at this circle. They hit a little low and to the left. One flyer, that's just me. Not too bad, about a 2-inch group at 21 feet. So this is the Freedom Munitions group over here. Pretty well in line, maybe a little bit higher than where I was aiming, and then that's just one flyer, you know. But I was aiming at that circle. So, Winchester Kinetic, I was aiming at that circle. These are my impacts. Now, this is just the ammo that I got from the lot that I got it from. Out of my particular firearm, you may have different results. But this is why it's always good to check and see where your defensive ammo is hitting, because it may be in a completely different spot than where your fixed sights are lined up. This may look familiar to people who appreciate Paul's channel. What I have here is 2 jugs of water, backed by the new subcompact high-tech fleece bullet stop. Meat target was not in the budget for the presentation, but this should do adequately to capture the projectiles. So, after all that, what, if anything, is the takeaway from today? Honestly, with most of these rounds, I'm impressed at the level of expansion I got out of a 1 7/8 inch barrel, especially for being standard pressure 38 special. Buffalo bore performed outstandingly. Most expansion, definitely the winner of the test today, especially with the fact that it's 158 grains and traveling at the velocity that is advertised compared to what we got. I'm going to be honest here. I don't know if this is actually standard pressure. It's advertised as standard pressure, but like Paul said, I think it might be on the higher end. He actually tested this in one of his videos. I'll link that in the description. Hornady American Gunner. Huge disappointment. Definitely the loser of the day. No expansion to even talk about. The jacket peeled back a little bit. That's about all. Federal Hydroshock performed pretty well. Pretty good expansion. Those pedals are peeled back nicely. Remington, high terminal performance. Pretty good expansion. Not as good as the Hydroshock or the Buffalo bore, but still pretty good. The biggest surprise today is the wild card 158 grain XTP remanufactured ammo from Freedom Munitions. I'm shocked that I got any expansion out of this projectile at all, but it actually did pretty well. Retained its jacket nicely. Lastly, the Kinetic HE from Winchester expanded really nicely as well. I guess the only issue is if you have a firearm that has fixed sights like I do, which in 38 special probably going to be some type of J-frame, you're going to need to figure out which ammo lines up with your sights. Anyway, thanks for watching, and see you next time.